Hi, and welcome to Positive Psychology, and we're now in our last class. Now, as we started the course with the knowledge that the positive psychology is a new science, a body of research has been ongoing and is very prolific. And as the science of positive psychology continues to grow, so too does the other related research, and in particular, especially more the applied area, which just really means the application that we could use on our, in our own lives. So a central mission of positive psychology is the identification, development, and evaluation of interventions for enhancing well-being. That is what we call PPIs, or positive psychology interventions. I'll be referring to them as PPIs probably for the rest of this video. Now, once the research can describe, explain, and even predict, it also needs to find ways to apply or use the research learnings. In a lot of cases, it's the treatment is what is the focus of this chapter, the intervention possibilities. Now, many of these have been described in previous chapters. So, for example, setting valued goals and using your signature strengths, that was in Chapter 2. Developing optimism and gratitude was in Chapter 3. Savoring pleasures, finding flow, and cultivating mindfulness was Chapter 4. Using our emotional intelligence was Chapter 5. We're developing self-esteem, self-efficacy, functional coping strategies, and positive defense mechanisms, and engaging in post-traumatic growth, while we're all in Chapter 7, where volunteering and practicing kindness and forgiveness, active constructive responding, which is also known as capitalization, expressing appreciation, and engaging in quality time was in Chapter 8. PPIs have been developed and or implemented in educational settings, work, sports contexts to enhance the well-being of people without clinical problems. These are just you and I without clinical problems, and they're being applied in that way. And it's also being used, of course, in clinical settings. So let's begin our look at the PPIs, and we'll review several and give you an idea of how they work and what they target. So by definition, PPIs are evidence-based interventions in which the goal of well-being enhancement is achieved through pathways that are consistent with positive psychology theory, PERMA theory. Pathways associated with Seligman's PERMA theory include promoting savoring for pleasurable experiences, fostering engagement in absorbing skillful activities, enhancing relationships, promoting meaning and purpose, and supporting accomplishments. All can and do play a role in PPIs. Sláinte. Now, the first one we'll sort of touch on here is what's known as strength theory. The development of character strengths is the main pathways with Pedersen and Seligman's theory of virtues and strengths. Now, what we won't be looking at in this chapter on PPIs is we won't be looking at the positive psychotherapy. Now, it's more focused on the psychological disorders, and it's in need of a therapist to implement. So we're going to focus more on the PPIs that we can work on our own or may join a group or be facilitated to gain the benefits. So before we look at the interventions, we first will consider their effectiveness. Now, we've touched on this in the first chapter on the work that I added on my own in the video, my video lecture, and it's critical in any science that one needs to check for reliability and validity, basically to verify that the interventions do in fact enhance well-being and can reduce those elements that bring us down. Now, the author of our textbook, Carr, Carr et al. In 2020, he synthesized the results of 347 studies involving 72,000 participants from clinical and non-clinical child and adult populations in 41 different countries. Now remember, this type of study is also known as a meta-analysis. Now note the image beside me here. It is capturing the comparison between clinical and non-clinical cases of PPIs. Now you should notice both forms benefit us and are fairly significantly benefiting. The effect of PPIs with an average of 10 sessions over 6 weeks offer a multiple formats and context where it was evaluated, and at post-test, PPIs had a significant small to medium effect on well-being, strengths, and quality of life, on the lowering of depression, anxiety, and stress. And this was in 2020. Now, also in 2020, they found that the gains reported immediately after completing the PPIs were maintained for 3 months later. After 7 months, gains had begun to dissipate. You may be thinking, what if you carried the PPIs on past 6 weeks? Well, they found that PPI programs were more effective if they contained multiple PPIs rather than just one, and were of longer duration, contained more sessions, were offered face-to-face, in an individual or group format rather than in a self-help computer or book-based interventions, were offered to individuals with clinical problems rather than healthy people. Now, as mentioned earlier, we are not going to cover the positive psychotherapy. We will instead start with Ford's happiness program. Now, in his program, we're really just going to highlight what are the 14 fundamentals of happiness program. Fortis developed and evaluated the 14 fundamental principles for happiness program, which includes sessions on a wide range of practical self-help exercises. Now I'm just going to list the 14 fundamentals of happiness. Now the first is be more active and keep busy. The second, spend more time socializing and having quality time with other people. 3, be productive at meaningful work and pastimes. 4, get better organized and plan things out so you can accomplish 1 or 2 important tasks each day. Stop worrying because it's unpleasant and unproductive. Lower your expectations and aspirations. Set achievable goals so you will be rewarded by your success and will not be disappointed, and you'll be disappointed less often. That's better. 7, develop positive and optimistic thinking. 8, get present oriented and live in the moment. Don't worry about the past hurts or the future potential for catastrophe. 9, know yourself, accept yourself, like yourself, help yourself. 10, develop an outgoing social personality and spend time with people you enjoy and meeting new people. 11, be yourself, do not disguise who you are, so you will attract people who like you for who you are. 12, let go of negative feelings and problems. Don't ruminate. 13, develop close romantic relationship. And 14, value happiness and pursue it with vigor. Now, the 14 fundamental program was taught in a didactic manner. Now, you may not be familiar with that term. It means that it's a type of writing that instructs or it teaches, like a textbook. So this didactic manner over a 2 to 10 week period participants were required to implement the lessons learned during the program in their day-to-day lives. The positive effects were maintained at 1 year follow-up. That's a significant carryover of an effect of a 2 to 10 week program. Very impressive. Our assignment is in that same ballpark. So if you've put in a significant effort on your part and did the effort, you might find the effects of this assignment to last longer than you may have thought. All right, let's move on to the next, which is Fava's well-being therapy. Fava developed a well-being therapy in Italy as a relapse prevention intervention for patients who had been treated for anxiety or depression by way of psychological or pharmacological treatments. Well-being therapy has 4 phases. There are 4 phases of tasks to be completed with some guidance and in an effort to move toward greater self-awareness and well-being. Now, a series of randomized controlled trials by Fava's team and others have shown that well-being therapy, when combined with routine CBT, now CBT is cognitive behavior management, and or medication, enhances the well-being of clients recovering from depression, generalized anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and cyclothymic disorder, which is sort of a version of a psychosis. Now next, we will have Frisch's quality of life therapy. Now this is an integration of cognitive therapy. Now cognitive, remember, is just your thinking. So it's a process of talking and thinking. So in cognitive therapy practices with ideas from positive psychology. And in its approach, plans are tailored to address the client's prioritized goals drawn from 16 areas assessed by the Quality of Life Inventory. I think you'll find that in your textbook too. At the beginning of therapy, clients complete a Quality of Life Inventory, which yields normed scores on all of these domains and suggests areas that may be focused for intervention. Once goals are prioritized, therapy is usually about 15 weeks and will include 3 core interventions. And they are the inner abundance, daily relaxation, and meditation. And find one's meaning in life. In other words, goals and values. Now, another approach is known as person-centered approaches. And it's based on the earlier work by humanistic psychology, Carl Rogers. Rogers proposed that therapists, in order to be most supportive, needed positive therapeutic alliance and to engage in non-directive therapeutic dialogue. Instead of telling people what they ought to do, non-directive is to give feedback to people about what they've said so they understood they've been heard, and there's a common understanding, a common regard. So instead, he would then facilitate people to their own discoveries, thus enabling them to better create opportunities and self-awareness that move in a better direction and would enable more well-being. And in Rogers' world, more potential for self-actualization. Two researchers, Stephen Joseph, positive therapy, and Ken Sheldon, self-determination theory, have been based in a therapeutic work on Rogers' person-centered approach. And so there's been a fair bit of work done on that area. Now we're going to look just quickly at solutions-focused therapy. Researchers Steve DeShazer and Kim Berg developed solutions-focused therapy, which aims to identify infrequent, exceptional episodes in which clients' problems were expected to occur but did not, and arrange for clients to increase the frequency of these exceptions. So, for example, if the main complaint was sleep difficulties, clients would be asked to note occasions on which they slept well. and then take particular steps to try to recreate the situation. Now, Bill O'Hanlon and Bob Bertolino have integrated the PPIs into the practice of solution-focused therapy by ensuring that the focus is included as clients' personal resources and their resilience. The exercises and interventions are grouped into 6 categories: purpose and meaning in life, optimism, relationships, gratitude, appreciation, and positivity, volunteering, and exercise. Now, most of those things, if you look at them individually and then sort of imagine them in a group, you've got to imagine that this is going to have some positive effect to engage in some of these activities. Now, we've been looking at them as being sort of individual. There are positive family therapy. And this was developed by the Connollys. This is Collie and Jane Connollys, and combined ideas and practices from family therapy and then combined them with positive psychology. The Connollys' approach to positive family therapy views the family rather than the individual as the primary unit for treatment. So instead of picking on an individual member of the family, they look at the family as a unit. This way, any issue, are approached as a system. All right, the problem in the family is made up of parts. Each can contribute to the solution. Please read more on the positive family therapy, as it's a positive focus approach, and everyone is equal. It's a good place you can introduce some of these elements within your own family potentially. Positive couple therapy, Kaufman and Sibelman integrated a couple therapy and positive psychology by balancing the usual focus on couples' problems with an equal focus on positive emotions in relationship strengths. This approach includes the writing of gratitude letters to one another, forgiveness strategies, and capitalization. All right. Now, what we'll do next is a quick review of what are known as strength-based interventions for severe psychological problems. Now, this is not psychotherapy, which is why we're touching on this. First is one called Voyages to Well-Being. Robert Cloninger developed this approach to help people who had recovered from psychological problems to enhance their well-being by increasing their self-directedness, cooperativeness, self-transcendence using exercises based on cognitive behavior therapy, and mindful meditation. Now again, these types of approaches are not the same as the approaches used in treatments for psychological disorders typically. This positive focus is a departure. Now if you check box 9.3 is an outline of this particular program. Another strengths model, Rapp is the researcher, developed this approach to working in partnership with people recovering from chronic and severe mental health problems, which involves drawing on strengths to achieve goals. For Rapp and his strengths model, people with mental health problems are viewed as having strengths despite their problems, as having the possibility of improving the quality of their lives through engaging in the recovery process, as being appropriately housed and treated in the community, and having the possibility of leading a fulfilling life. This is a departure from what you might be, experience in a more traditional treatment program. So Rapp's strength model has 5 stages. The engagement stage. You've got to get engaged in the activity of improving. Strengths assessment. Where are your strengths? Create a personal plan, setting a goal. Resources acquisition. What do you need and what do you have? And then disengagement. Positive psychology, of course, is also applied to schools, and it's been introduced into schools in a variety of ways, ranging from the specific lessons, ranging from the specific lessons to the whole school approach. Specific lessons approach will begin with lessons here are given on developing positive psychology skills such as mindfulness, gratitude, and kindness. The whole school approach, well, that positive psychology ethos is introducing into all aspects of school life for staff and pupils. We're going to review one, and I'll highlight the Penn Resilience Program. There's a second one in your text called the Geelong Grammar School Project Review that would be good for you to review. The Penn Resilience Program is an example of a specific lessons approach designed by Martin Seligman's team to teach learned optimism and prevent depression in young people. It's a 12-week program containing skills training on optimistic thinking, negotiation, conflict management, assertiveness, problem solving, decision-making, and relaxation. It's been evaluated in a large number of studies, and it's had mixed results. Some of that has to do with schools, the implementation, the differences in the different geographies, and the different buy-ins. You can have, of course, positive psychology interventions in organizations. Organizational performance may be enhanced by PPIs that increase positive leadership styles, employee empowerment and engagement, and psychological capital within the organization. Positive leadership styles, well, these are the styles that communicate a clear vision of organizational goals, inspire motivation in others, encourage autonomy. They role model effective and ethical organizational behavior and take account of employees' strengths and limitations and communicate openly, supportively, and positively. Now, let's have a look at empowerment and engagement. Now, this is achieved by giving employees, this is still under organization, by giving employees jobs that are perceived make a difference in an organization with a variety of skills, autonomy, feedback, training in job skills, and positive psychology skills and social support. Now, in this same, under the employment, psychological capital includes self-efficacy, the belief in our personal effectiveness, optimism, hope, and resilience, the capacity to bounce back from setbacks. PPIs have been introduced into the work organizations in a variety of ways, ranging from offering employees training in specific PPIs to broader organizational development interventions that target work teams, departments, or even the whole organization complete. Employee PPI skill training could include training maybe in a group format. It could be done one-to-one coaching context. Skill training may cover leadership, teamwork, resilience, self-efficacy, optimism, hope, resilience, gratitude, kindness, and mindfulness. Organizational development approach being another PPI. Appreciative inquiry is an example of positive psychology organizational development approach, which focuses on organizational strength rather than the organizational problems. Well, that's what we're going to cover. That brings us to the end of our content for positive psychology. I really hope you have gained either a new lesson, that will stay with you, or you have seen so much potential to carry your own assignment that maybe you'll take advantage of the momentum that you've put into it. You may want to consider Download all the assignment resources and have them available should you want to do more or just carry on with what you've begun. My hope is that you go out of the assignment. My hope is that you got out of the assignment what you've put into it. And hopefully you can see and feel a difference. You might begin to wonder, what else can I achieve? How will I add more positive emotion, more engagement, more positive relationships, more meaning, more accomplishments, more PERMA? Well, everybody, I hope you've gained something from this course. I certainly have enjoyed doing this assignment with you on my own. It's been a particularly difficult semester, and this has been very, very helpful for me. So I hope it's been helpful for you. All right, everybody, good luck, and hope you have a good life. Bye now.